Hello, and we are live once again. It's a beautiful day here in Ireland, and we're going to be talking today about matching your confidence with your capability, which is a quote that the great Marshall Goldsmith made to me over a year ago at the start of this pandemic, and then my guest today appeared out of a wonderful mist of optimism a couple of months ago, and we've had two of the most amazing chats I've had in the last year. Scott Ballard. Scott, how are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here, Simon.
It's great to talk with you. So you are, a confidence coach. You help people by asking deep questions, and you've asked some of those of me, which helps business owners, entrepreneurs, CEOs, and leaders create breakthrough. And you've certainly had, a big impact on me. You're seen on CBS, Fox, NBC, ABC. So maybe just start. How did you get into doing this work?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking. My story, Simon, goes clear back to being 7 years old. And that kind of sets people back, and it's a bit startling, but when I was 7 years old here in the States, we start the primary school, right?
Yeah.
And so I went into school and I was very excited. I grew up in a real rural town in the state of Oregon, but beautiful area. And I had a lot of friends and buddies, and I was excited about going to school. In fact, my parents said I was one of the happiest children that, in the town. Like I just was very happy. I went to school, and Simon, after a couple of months, I realized that I wasn't learning like the other kids. Okay, even as that young of a kid, I knew I was different, right?
Yeah.
Well, that was a bit unsettling. And then my teacher didn't know what to do with me, because in the 60s at that time, in the States at least, there was no real training for a kid that had that kind of learning disabilities.
Yeah.
And she was a very tough, disciplined woman. And she put my desk in the corner and said, "You're stupid and you're never going to be anything. And you're wasting my time." And here's the tragedy, which the dark side of it, I believed her because I was brought to respect people of authority. I was brought up in that way.
Yeah.
And so I actually believed her, and I started living into that. Well, this led to suicidal thoughts. This led to severe depression, very dark time. But luckily, I was surrounded by my parents and my grandmother, which was a little Irish gal, believe it or not, 4'11". And she would say to me, "Scotty, there's a plan for your life. There's a reason you're here." And so, long story short, they were able to actually get me some help. But what I learned during that dark season, or what became what I do today, which we've talked about this, Simon, is that I couldn't see any ability or gifts or talents or uniqueness about myself. I literally was blind to it, in the sense of being blind. But if Simon was on the playground, I could see it in him immediately.
Yeah.
And I would immediately go to him or encourage him or make statements or put him in situations about whatever that ability is. And so at 8 or 9 or 10, I started doing this even with my teacher, Simon. I remember I had a teacher in 6th grade, Mr. Bacala, and it was his first year. And I was constantly encouraging him and reassuring him, even though I was getting D and F. I couldn't read and write for my life.
Yeah.
But he was a great teacher, and it was his first year, and I could see the uncertainty,
Yeah.
Because 6th graders are difficult. But so that's where it all started, and that's what I've been doing my whole life in one fashion or another.
Wow. And you definitely have an ability to spot something in people. And what is it that you see in people? What do you see? Because you've worked with me a couple of times, and you had this uncanny ability to bring something out in me, right? That I kind of suspected was there, but nobody had really pinpointed it, right? Which was, that I have an ability to inspire others, to shine a light, but nobody had said that or even bothered to reach out. What is it that you see in people? Is there one thing, or is it different things, or is it a gut feeling? Is it a thought? What is it?
Yeah. What I see in people is the greatness, the genius that is hidden because, just like my experience, they had believed some lies along the way, and unbeknownst to themselves most of the time.
Yeah,
It could come from a parent, it could come from a boss or a coach or a professor, or there's lots of influences. And so I see past the lie to the truth of what their true identity is. And
yeah,
we all have uniqueness and greatness in us. And so I can see past that. And I can also see the lie. I can uncover the lie fairly quickly with people, even strangers at times. That is my superpower, so to
yeah,
speak. Out,
yeah,
out of the depth of, trying to commit suicide at 7, 8 years of age.
yeah, yeah. And what do you think? What is it in people that blocks them from seeing that greatness in themselves? What is it?
I think it's a couple of things. Number one, it scares them. It
Yeah,
does. It does. There's
yeah,
this genuine, real fear around that. Because they're afraid of what that might open up on the other side.
yeah,
How are people going to respond to me, Simon? I'm dyslexic. I can't read and write. I have no education. And I'm going to go out and build a business. And I failed 11 times in my 20s and 30s, totally failed.
yeah,
My dear wife of 40 years, she would say to me, she goes, "What did we learn? And what are we going to do next time? Because this is who you are."
yeah,
So she could see it in me and I could see it in everybody else, but I was the last person to know it for myself.
yeah. No, that resonates with me. And is it kind of a form of alignment? Do people need to get to a place, when people come out of recovery, or they find a spiritual pathway, they often say they needed to reach a rock bottom, or they needed to reach a place of alignment. They felt that they're in their spiritual being and their career drive and their outer world, they kind of align. What is it that allows people just to click into action, into awakening?
Well, and we've talked a lot about this. So I think it starts with being honest and then facing the lie
Yeah,
and doing the deep work. My conversations, and I tell people, are not for the faint of heart,
yeah,
because I can be a bit relentless to get to the truth of the matter. And I love people, Simon, that I do this out of love, because I really do care.
yeah,
But it's like a surgery, and we
yeah,
keep, cutting away to
yeah,
get to that. And then when that lie is totally brought out, then we can say, okay, now what is the truth, and what are we going to do about living into the truth
yeah,
of who
yeah.
we really are, our true identity? Because
It's
of
it, yeah, it's really difficult because I mean you've asked me lots of questions that go deeper and deeper and deeper, and in a way that I've not, I've been through, I've been through coaching, I've been through therapy, right? I've been through a few things in my life, but there are certain places of depth that
yeah,
it's just easier to avoid, right? And so when you say to me, something like, do you really love yourself, right? That's really hard to answer because you're not conditioned to go that deep in yourself, and so are there some people when you start with them, you think you can get through to them, but there comes a point where you realize you're just not going to get there. Are there those kind of people that just are impenetrable?
yeah, it's very rare for me, and I don't say that out of my own ego, but that's pretty rare, because I've been doing this for 61 years. So I've seen a lot of stuck. I've seen a
Yeah.
lot of people living into a lie for a long time. There's a pattern to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of it starts in our childhood and our first memories. So that's one of the questions I'll often ask people if it feels like it's not going anywhere. Tell me about your first memories as a child.
Yeah.
And boy, I'll tell you, most of the time that opens up what's happening now, because that lie was installed. So much of our lie was installed during our childhood, and we don't even realize it. Now we're this 55-year-old adult, and we're like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
am I so unhappy? Or why is this part of my life dead?
Yeah.
Well, we have to go back to the root, to the beginning, and we have to, and that can be difficult. That there's a lot there, but if we'll go back and be honest about that, then we can go forward and we can live into the truth of who we really are and what that is,
Yeah.
and deal with it.
Yeah.
Right.
No, you're so right. And I mean, the work you do you just do it with individuals, or do you do it with teams, or
Yeah.
what's the variety of
Yeah.
clients that you have?
Yeah. Yes. All the above. It is in all those versions, because oftentimes the lie that the leader is living in his company, let's say, or her company, it's distorted everybody else, and so they're living in a lie.
Yeah.
So we do this as a group,
Yeah.
20 or 30 people in a room, when we could be in a room, but or virtually, and we take everybody on the journey together, right? And when that aha hits one person, it's like dominoes. Everybody's learning, and everybody's going, oh, that's what I'm doing, or
Yeah.
that's a breakthrough for me. And
Yeah.
so in a group, it can be very dynamic, and what can happen once we have the first, what I call breakthrough, or living into the true identity.
Yeah. What about the level of commitment of people who work with you? How
Yeah.
do you have a minimum level of commitment that you need to see, or are you observing it without them even committing to it?
Wow. I first of all, I absolutely love that word. My wife and myself teach a whole workshop on commitment for a lifetime marriage. So
Yeah.
you're speaking my language. So
Mm.
Simon, without commitment, we can't change. Like straight up. So from your experience with me, I am huge on the commitment, and I'm like a dog with a bone. I'm not going to let go until you commit to doing the work, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So yes, the commitment has to be there, and the commitment comes in different ways, right? And so whatever that means for that person or that company or that organization, I'm looking for that, because 99% commitment is really hard to change the deep work we're doing. But 100%, I have this poster here, 100% commitment, and we can do it very quickly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so in the situation with you, when you got to 100% commitment, bam. Right. But
Yeah.
until then, you even said to me, this is really hard. Like, I don't want to do this. This is painful. Wow, this is so deep. But I was guiding you to 100%. You were at 99%, and people tend to get stuck. They get cold feet, so to speak, right?
You got me to leave the room and tell my daughter I love her, and that didn't come easy, because it seems contrived, but it's amazing. Unless you push yourself through that self-imposed embarrassment block, which is a load of rubbish, isn't it, Scott? Right?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
it's rubbish, isn't it?
It's rubbish. Yes.
Or garbage. It's just, but and is that a male thing more than a female thing, that we build this kind of fortress of self-neglect, or is it anybody?
Oh, no, it's everybody. We all do it. Everything we want, Simon, is on the other side of our fear.
Yeah.
And if we're not 100% committed, we won't get to the other side of our fear. That's why I'm so big on the commitment thing. And as I work with people, I won't move forward until I know that they know that they're 100% committed to do the work.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But I am relentless. And my clients hate me. In fact, I have clients, I hate what you're doing. And then they'll laugh and smile and go, but this is the best thing I've ever done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then
What about
the right
what,
spot.
what about you in the last 5 minutes? If you were going to go back to a younger version of you, I don't know whether anybody's ever asked you this, and
Yeah.
you were going to whisper 2 or 3 words into your own younger version ear to set you up for success, what would you say to yourself?
Mm. What naturally or God-given that you're doing on the playground is actually your best future. So picking teams to play football, I knew the kids to pick because I knew their ability.
Yeah, yeah,
But having the vision to see how does that play into the grown-up world, the game we're playing now in business and in life and in marriage and
yeah,
relationship. And then everybody, all 8 billion people, Simon, need this work.
yeah.
That is what I would love to have had somebody whisper in my ear on the playground at 8 years of age going, oh no, this is huge.
Yeah. When you think about it, I mean, like, we're all dropped into this world. None of us asked to come here, right? None of us were given a map, right? And yet, we're shown how to work out in a gym, and we're shown how to cook an egg, and we're shown how to, use a laptop. But nobody teaches us. Nobody shows us how to tap into that energy that we have. But we kind of lose it as we go through life. It's mad, isn't it? I mean, just imagine if we did that with everybody, all 8 billion, just imagine what would resonate out of that.
Yeah. Because when we live out of that true identity, it all lines up. You said that at the beginning. That's an interesting. There is an alignment, and then there's a empowerment that happens. You're the perfect example. As we talked the last time, the empowerment that you experienced within that hour or whatever it was, was life-changing.
Yeah.
In a part of your life that you openly said, I haven't done this work. I haven't addressed this.
Yeah. And it's critical. I mean, vulnerable leadership and the words are banded around so much, authentic leadership and vulnerable leadership, but there's such power in that stuff. How can you truly connect? Because communication is about connection. How can you truly connect with others if you haven't even bothered to connect with yourself? I'm not deep into this, Scott, right? But I'm sensing it. It's like, that wardrobe in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I've opened the door and I can see the possibility of what you do. I can see the strength. And that's why I'm talking now, with you. And so if you were going to give, say, 2 or 3 words of advice, to just wrapping this up, to anybody out there who is skeptical about this, or no, let me change that, who's open-minded, who is willing to give this a go, but they have some reservations, what 2 or 3 words would you say to them?
Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is what are you waiting for? What's holding you back? Let's be honest, what's holding you back? So it starts with honesty. All change begins with being honest. Here's where I'm stuck, right? I had a guy yesterday say to me, this is where I'm stuck. I haven't told anybody. I'm the CEO of this large company, and I have nobody else understands. And he's super lonely. And so we had a conversation about where he was stuck. And so that's where it begins. It begins with the commitment, as you've taken the word, like the commitment is saying, I don't want to settle for this lie anymore.
Yeah.
I want to live out my true identity and who I am in that. And that's where it all begins, right? I mean, until that, like the first time we met, I didn't know you in the sense of we didn't have a relationship or a friendship. And this happens to me all the time. And I was like, okay, so what is this all about? So I tried to find out, okay, what is Simon all about, and what is the lie he's believing, and what are the truths?
Yeah.
And we sorted it out, you know.
Yeah.
We started to sort it out.
Yeah.
And so that would be my advice or my thought for people to, but it takes guts and courage and commitment.
It does. It does. It's not, you can't expect, it's a bit like, I've never received $1 million in my bank account from doing no hard work. You can't expect the equivalent here. You've got, and I'm still struggling a bit with it, you know, because, and I don't even know why. So it's really interesting, you know. So how do people find out more about you, Scott, and how do they connect with you? And because I've mentioned you to a couple of people today, right? So they're looking for you.
Yeah, we're at confidencecoach.org, and you can find us there. My wife, actually, you'll find this interesting, Simon. I don't think I've told you. My wife owns the company. So we work together, and our team, and yeah, we're there. We want to serve people that are ready to face the lie and exchange that for the truth, and have their best or better future is right there. It's on the other side of their fear. Like it's just right there. You know, it's like you walking out your door to your daughter or to your wife.
Yeah, it's there.
Right there. It's 20 feet from where you do all your great work.
Yeah.
We want to go there with people.
That's perfect. Well, Scott, it's been great chatting with you, and you know, I'm sure we'll chat again. And you're gonna connect with people I've told to connect with. So that's wonderful. And keep in touch, and we'll talk again in a week or so time. I need to get back to you about something. So great to see you again.
Thank you.
Take care. See you.
Yep.
Bye. Bye.